doctors, we sort of slowly forget, how to ask questions. And, through the training or through the med school, instead of criticizing, we're always taught to memorize and just accept and just benchmark or learn from that. And gradually, as you graduate, we feel like we're in top of the world, like I'm the greatest doctor, and slowly we're also start to dislike people who start to criticize, and we end up doing only things that we learned, and doing things that only works. And when something doesn't work, we start blaming others. Oh, it was the patient's fault. It was a bad patient. It was the anatomy, something. And we always try to stay within our boundary, and thinking that everything that I'm doing now is the right thing. But unfortunately, that's not true. It may make you safe. It may make you feel like safe, and you're comfortable. A lot of people call that the comfort zone. But it's very difficult to get out of that comfort zone. And the fact is, we don't want to change once we set up something that's comfortable. Because changing means you're going to be very uncomfortable. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. There's a fear of not knowing. And sometimes when you do something different, people start saying, "Oh, look, JP's doing something different again." And they sort of think you as an outcast, a weird guy who's always trying to do different things, and that makes the rest of the people really uncomfortable as well. And this is why a lot of times, even though you have a good idea, that we don't want to go through this trouble, and ultimately not able to change. And as this cartoon shows, instead of risking anything new, let's play safe and continue our slow decline into obsolescence. So what it means is that if you don't change, then you'll be just one of those old guys just doing everything the same way over and over again. And without change, there's no spice in your practice, doing the same old thing over and over again. So, and without change, there's no innovation. And if you look in the world of microsurgery today, we praise people who come with different thinking, different ideas. I mean, look at the past 2 decades, from free flaps to perforator flaps to freestyling, and then super microsurgery, lymphedema, perforator to perforator. And this is what makes it exciting. And this is what we want to be part of. And a lot of times, we're taught, hey, that doesn't work, it's not for us. But ultimately, deep down inside, somewhere in our mind, we want to change and we want to try something new. Now, in your training, we're always doing our routines. And once you finish your training, this is when you have the ability to start new things and start thinking about how to do it better, how to do new ideas. And as you build your routine and as you do your training, then you start thinking new, you start improving a little by little, and then the spiral, instead of staying as a circle, becomes larger, larger, and larger. And this is how you become an expert. It all starts with routine, but you try to go out of that circle. And the first step to go out of that circle is asking why. A lot of times, we have residents ask, "Oh, why are you doing this?" And, and most of the times, the mentors or the teachers say, "Oh my God, that's such a stupid question. Get out of here." But when you ask a question, you have to do your due diligence. If you have an idea and say, "Oh, I wonder why Eric is doing this," then you have to look at the papers. And then once you read the papers, once you read a textbook and understand the basics, and say, "Oh, Dr. Santa Maria, I read this, and it seems like the perforator course in the intramuscular is this way. Why don't we elevate it a little bit differently? And you go, oh, okay. You did your due diligence. You did your study. Okay, what are you talking about? And then you start a conversation. So without doing that due diligence and asking why, a lot of times you'll just be shut down because we know as mentors sometimes that you didn't do your part in asking a question. But nevertheless, you have to start by asking yourself and asking the people around you why we're doing it this way. Now, as the author of The Little Prince said, all grown-ups were children, but only few of them remember it. When our little babies, Dad, why does the bird fly? Why does the moon change shapes? And, we try to explain. But as we get older, as we go through med school, we start to shut our mouth and just say, okay, memorize, accept what it is. And then we lose that curiosity. We lose to ask why. This is not true. Why is this? Why can't we elevate it in a different plane? And we lose that. And when you have a question, and this is the part you have to do your due diligence, most of the time when you have a question, you'll see that there are very, very relative papers already because a lot of people will be asking the same question you did. And if there is, then you read about it and say, I still don't think like this. My thinking is a little bit different. And then as you read their answers to your questions, your curiosity may be answered, or maybe it will not be answered. In that case, with design study, animal study, or you could try a modification from their idea. And that's how you keep seeking your answer. You have to find the answer for your curious question. And then, if you see it, good. If that's not enough, then you continue to do research because, as Thomas Edison said, there's always a better way. And it's up to you, it's up to me to find it. And once you have this idea, and once you studied it, now you want to be sure if this is a valid idea. And this is where communication and sharing comes in. And if you have great mentors to help you, that's great. You have this idea, I want to go ahead, and they'll encourage you. Go ahead and do the idea or share their experience on why, this is great or, you might need this. I'm not good enough to answer, and they'll share. And throughout life, through this kind of process of asking questions and sharing the research, you become great friends, and that's a huge added benefit of sharing, of validating your idea. And if that's not enough, and maybe your faculty in your school or in your training is not their expertise, then reach out. Reach out to the world. Today, we live in a world of social media. And just text them, become friends in Facebook or Instagram. And if you text them and say, hey, look, I was reading this article and I was doing this flap or I was doing this reconstruction and I really had a question, most of the time they'll answer it. I get this kind of text from people that I don't know all over the world, and I try to answer as much as possible. And I try to share on YouTube all the videos that most of the lectures that I do or surgical techniques I want to share. And you'll be amazed when you start texting and how these mentors all over the world are so accommodating, trying to help you understand. So just don't give up. Don't say, I don't have the infrastructure. It's all an excuse. You reach out, and then the world becomes your teacher. Take advantage of the technology that we live in. And finally, when you have a question, when you did the research, and then when you shared it, you validated it, you communicated with it, and then now it's time to implement it. And look back. Now you have a solid idea based on science, and you had improved your idea, improved your research through communication. Now it's time to do it. Because as Theodore Levitt said, creativity is thinking, innovation is doing. So if you don't do, you'll never change, and you'll never know the effects of that change. As Yoda said, do or do not. There is no try. So when we talk to our residents, say, okay, do this, I'll try. No. It's doing or not doing. There's no such thing as trying. And when you do it, you have to realize microsurgery is not perfect. We're not going to have 100%. If you're going to change something, if you're going to do a new idea, of course, failure is part of our job. And sometimes when you start microsurgery, you fail it and you get frustrated. Oh my God, this is not for me. You know, when I was in training and when I started my fellowship, I remember losing 3 flaps in a row. And I went to my mentor, Professor Chung, and I said, I don't think microsurgery is for me. I think I'm going to go into bone surgery or something else. Can you imagine me doing something else other than microsurgery? So, he took me out to dinner and he started, having me drink soju bombs. Then he just suddenly smacked me on the back of my head. He goes, hey, you got to kill 100 flaps before you become a microsurgeon. And according to his definition, I'm probably still not a microsurgeon. But the point is, he dared me to go on. Because even though I failed or I lost 3 flaps in a row, the real failure is when you stop and when you stop doing. Because you'll never know whether or not you become a good microsurgeon or not. So remember, failure is part of our job. But through failure, you learn and you evolve. And you learn from mistakes. And you say, oh, last time I did this way, I had a thrombosis. And you improve. We feel bad to the patient. But this is the process. Process to overcome, process to learn. Most of all, it's the process to grow. So you must grow from these 4 things. This was my journey. I said, a couple of thousands of ALT, and I said, is there a better flap? ALT is not thin enough. So I started to think about thinning, and I said, let's go, maybe the skip, let's go do a skip. And then as I was doing the skip, revisiting the groin, then I started to realize that there's a superficial fascia. Why don't we elevate from there? And then start to do the super thin fascia. And while I was elevating, how can I do it faster? I asked the question again, start to use monopole lobotomy. And then the skip puff rater was short. How do I overcome this? Asked another question. And then I started to use puff rater to puff rater, which that led to more supramicrosurgery. And as I started to understand more about the puff rater physiology, then that's how it led me to do ischemic back and foot reconstruction using small collateral vessels that are doable to do a flap and to salvage the ischemic diabetic wound. So you can see through this journey, it all begins with asking why. Why can I do it this way? Why can I do it that way? And looking at the research, how did people think about the questions I had? And then learning from them, and then evolving from them, and then trying a little different, finding evidence, and most of all, putting it in action. And through this process, what I learned is that, hey, I can do it. But I learned from my mistakes. And I know it's a hard process. And you persevere. And when you see something undoable, when people say, diabetic foot is not it's not an indication for microsurgery, not to even mention ischemic diabetic foot, I want the challenge. Hey, you know what? I want to try it. I want to do it. And then you look into all these great other mentors who've done it despite the critique, despite the challenges they had, and they did it. We have our microsurgeon forefathers, Harry Bunke, who had no instruments, and he had to make his own instruments, but he still overcame that challenge. And this is what this journey gives you. a growth mindset, a mindset that you could grow. And when you grow, you become better. And if you're interested, this is a great book by Carol Dweck. It really tells you how to change that mindset. And if you're able to change it, then I think it's a great way to really evolve in your practice. So the 4 steps: first, by asking why, doing the research, whether or not somebody asks a similar question, communicate, sharing and validating your idea, and then finally, putting into action is the way to do it. And once you start repeating this in your daily practice, you slowly see yourself changing, and not accepting everything, challenging, and you change. And once this becomes part of your daily life, it becomes a habit. And the habit will make your growth behavior. And ultimately, behavior makes your character. And you know what? Characters that build innovation share a same trait as we just talked about. They have a very opportunistic, growth-related mindset. They train very hard to understand the basics. They have a passion, a goal, and of course, to achieve that passion, they persevere. And only through the process of training and working hard, you have your opportunities. I mean, the opportunities are not going to drop out of the sky. You're not going to be ready when you see a mangled leg. Oh, what am I going to do? But if you've done the training, if you've done the microsurgery, this is a chance for you to do it and to do it better. For me, look at this. This is a diabetic foot. I mean, you look at this and look at the pus coming out. You see that pus? You see that foul odor? Nobody wanted to touch this kind of foul odor, dirty diabetic foot. And I said, this is my opportunity to do better for these patients, even though it's dirty, smelling. And I'm so sorry if you're going to have some meal after this, because smell really, you can imagine, right? Well, anyway, nobody does this. Nobody wanted to do this. That's where the opportunity is. And through training, through doing microsurgery, I realized, maybe we could do microsurgical reconstruction of this diabetic foot. And you create that opportunity, because opportunity does not drop out of the sky. It only comes to people who work hard. And you challenge the status quo by saying, diabetes was a contraindication. No, why? What's the reason? Do the research. And you always can find a way to do it better. And through training, it's not only about acquiring knowledge in our training during our residency, but it's building that attitude of challenging the status quo, of really trying to find answers, and of doing it. Because that's the only way you become excellent. And excellent is not an exception. When you say, he's an excellent guy, it's not an exception. It's because he worked for it. And as he worked for it, he was building his attitude. So excellence is really about having a right attitude. If you read this book from Malcolm Gladwell, it talks about outliers. It talks about how excellence builds. Remember that famous incident where the pilot landed a broken plane on the Hudson River and nobody got hurt? It's because he flew over 10,000s of times. And he had hours and hours of experience. And when something went wrong, it just clicked. He had this reflex. And he had this impulse, innovation, to say, I could do this. Because this is all built on his experience, on his training. And only working hard will allow you to have that impulse innovation. And always asking why will have you bring this innovation in your daily life. And through this, you really have to love what you do. You have to have passion. You have to have a consistent goal of what you want in the long period of time. Not just think one thing. Oh, I'm excited in doing diabetic foot. And then a month later, oh my God, forget it. Passion is something that you want to do beyond your board certification, during your practice, how you want to be remembered. And of course, doing this kind of new thing is not easy. It's always hard work. And that's what perseverance is all about. And passion and perseverance, that will allow you to believe in yourself and in your future. As you must believe that you can do it. Now, I was with them doing lymphedema surgery. I think some of you may have heard of this show before. And, the first time I went there in 2005, I said, hey, JP, this is lymphatics. It looked like a piece of fiber. I said, no, I really don't know. And he goes, okay, come to the surgeon side. Here, look under the microscope. So I'm looking. He says, JP, this is the lymphatics. I go, oh, sorry, it just looks like a piece of fiber. And, he looked at me and said, JP, just believe it, okay? And I did. And when I came back, of course, it took a long time. Really set up a nice practice. Ultimately, I'm doing lymphedema surgery now. So you must believe. That's how the start is. You're not sure. You're not sure about whether or not this is lymphatic vessel or not. But as you continue to do, as you continue to research, as you continue to share your ideas, in this case for me with Dr. Kushima, I was able to ultimately do a lot of LVAs. And the minute that I believe, I'm going to be a lymphedema surgeon, and the minute I just keep on trying, doing, that's all about effort. It doesn't matter if you have great talent. Some people do, yes. But with that talent, if you're not going to do anything, if you're not going to work hard as that guy next door, you're never going to have the same skill as he does. Because talent and effort, that's what skill is. And skill, and when you have that skill, when you finish your training, have that skill, and then you put more effort into doing lymphedema surgery, then that becomes your achievement. And as you can see here in this equation shown by Angela Duckworth in her book, Grit, it's all about the effort. Talent and effort is skills. If you have less talent, then you have to have more effort. But guys with good talent will never beat people who keep on working. Remember what Thomas Edison said? 1% inspiration, 99% work. And this is what grit is about perseverance to achieve that passionate goal that you have in your mind. And of course, these people also have prudence and discipline. A lot of the work that you're presenting needs to be evidence-based. So that's why you're doing the research. And if there's already evidence, great, you accept it and you go on. If there's none, you find that evidence. And you validate your new idea through evidence, through statistics, and say, we're able to do this. And that's how you take responsibility in the new ideas. Because you're going to be criticized. Okay, that looks great. Can other people do it? What's the science? This is the only way to validate and have your innovation mainstream. Look how many papers Dr. Fu Chang-wei published in regards to its freestyle free fly. Look at how many papers that David Chang, Dr. Kushima, Peter Nelligan, Eric Santamaria, all publish to validate their idea. Because it's prudence. Although it may seem wild that they have this new idea, but they also discipline themselves, look for evidence. Because in the end, they want to take responsibility for their new ideas. And we mentioned through this journey of always trying to do it better, trying to validate your new ideas, you have so many friends. And I want to thank Luciano, who's taking this video right now. And we just talked about how small this microsurgery society is. And you know what? It's great because we're able to find so many friends, make so many good friends, find mentors in life who guides us, who supports us. And this becomes all our asset. And through this innovation and through this training, through building your character, we come across so many great colleagues. And this is why it makes this journey of training and then innovating through change so fun. And I really do hope that for you who are starting the journey of microsurgery, understands that this training is part of building your character, opportunity for you to change, and then ultimately for you to contribute to microsurgery, to reconstructive surgery through your innovations. I'm really glad that I've come across a really great team, and this is what it's all about having fun. So have that open mindset, have that growth mindset, do the training, persevere, have that passion, and as you do that, be responsible, be prudent, discipline yourself, and through that process, make a lot of friends, and of course, enjoy life. Because if you have a job you love, you don't feel like you're going to work. You feel like, oh my God, I'm going to have fun at work. And this is what Confucius said. I mean, if I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing something, I want to love it. I don't want to feel like going to prison every day. Some of the residents may feel like it because they haven't really found their passion yet. So it all starts by asking why and trying to validate that idea, trying to do the research, taking action. And as you slowly do that, you feel change in your character. And then ultimately, through this journey of innovation, you build a growth mindset, you have an opportunistic mindset, you accept the training, you persevere, you set up a goal, have a passionate goal, and then you discipline yourself. You always find to have evidence, be prudent, and through that process, you really make a lot of friends. And I hope that you take this opportunity to go back and think, hey, do I have a closed mindset? Or do I have an open mindset? Can I change? It all starts by just asking why. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive. Change. Charles Darwin. So, if we're not able to change, then what is there for us in the future? Change allows innovation, and through this process will allow you to grow. And look how many innovations that we did in plastic surgery. With this kind of growth mindset, we've been doing BCAs, face transplants, hand transplants, penile transplants. Now we're using ultra high frequency ultrasound to detect functioning lymphatics. It's just crazy how much innovation that plastic surgery has. And most of the plastic surgery, and I am grateful to have walked into this path of training, is that our specialty is basically innovation. And through your training, through asking why, walking that first step, you will able to have that growth mindset leading to innovation. So get out of your comfort zone. Accept fear, accept the unknown, and then make that jump. And this jump all starts by asking why. And you'll see the magic of change and innovation in yourself and be able to contribute to the plastic surgery world. So I give you this last slide. You want to be the type of person who makes it happen, who just watches it happen, or don't know what the hell happened. I know what kind of type of person I want to be. So think about what type of person you want to be. So with that, thank you very much. Thank you, Eric Santamaria. This has been a wonderful master series. I really enjoyed being here. Thank you, Luciano, for taping. And also, thank you for all the audience who stayed in for this 2-day conference. And definitely see you next year at WSRM in Cancun. With that, thank you very much. And finally, I want to thank my team who's really working hard, even at this moment, 8 a.m. In Seoul. Nevertheless, hope to see you soon and take care of yourself in this time of trouble. Bye-bye.